It started with a simple idea. What if I played through every game I ever wanted to finish? That idea became the 1K Backlog Catalog, 1,000 games across 10 consoles, and my mission to beat them all, one by one. Game number 4 on the challenge is Skate or Die. Originally released in 1987 on the Commodore 64 by Electronic Arts, this one was released in 1988 on the NES by Konami and Ultra Games. Also, 1988 was the year John McClane gave us the famous quote, "Yippee-ki-yay."
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
So, with that, I'm stoked to start a sesh. Let's hope this isn't a major bummer. Let's drop in and get some wicked air off the vert. So, let's set the scene for Skate or Die. Welcome to a rad-infested world. There's a place on Earth where hot dogs and nachos are health food, summer vacations last year-round, and punk rockers with mohawk haircuts are looked upon as mellow dudes. It's a place where the rulers are not determined by their fundraising talents, but their power to dominate the streets with rad skateboarding skills. Here, the king of the road is none other than skateboarding maniac Rodney Recluse, owner of the Flesh and Asphalt skateboarding shop. He, along with his freaked-out son, Bionic Lester, and their crazed cronies Pete and Eddie rule the streets with iron wheels. They're sort of a nuclear waste version of Al Capone and his once ruthless gang of gangsters. As a newcomer to the scene with power aspirations of your own, you must prove yourself to Rodney and his freewheeling weirdos. That means you better be on your toes when you challenge your friends to freestyle and downhill competitions with rock and rolls and rail slides, and you better be on your worst behavior when it comes to board with Lester in Whack 'em Upside the Head Joust. The title screen music is pretty catchy, and hitting start throws me into the skate shop with Rodney Recluse himself. Rodney is an interesting looking character with a blue mohawk and a face only a mother could love. A face that screams, "Dear God, I should have moisturized." The skate shop has a little menu built within, and you can sign in, track your high scores, go to practice, go to compete. Selecting Go Practice has us leave the shop and we hit the streets in sort of a top-down view of the streets, showing all the locations that we can go to. The choices are Compete All, Joust, Race, Freestyle, High Jump, and finally, Jam. Start with freestyle, and this half pipe is where we do tricks, score points. It looks like I'm limited to air tricks and lip tricks only here. The controls reverse whether you are skating regular or goofy. There are 7 tricks available in freestyle competition: a kick turn, rock and roll, foot plant, rail slide, hand plant, ollie, and aerial. Pulling off tricks depends on what direction you are going and how many times you press the A button while in the pump zone. The pump zone is where you're skating in the half pipe. This is the competition in the game I will struggle with the most. I take a break and move on to the Joust. The Joust is a 1v1 skating in an empty pool. You can select 3 different people to face off against, and they have increasing difficulty, starting with Poser Pete, then Aggro Eddie, and finally the most difficult is supposed to be Lester. Here is the great clip of me trying to say the word poser for the first time in my life and horribly mispronouncing it. Posure Pete. In the Joust, you have 5 attempts to either dodge or knock the other person down, depending if you're attacking or evading. It's a pretty straightforward event, and there's a bit of luck involved. The next event is the Race. This is a downhill slalom-like event. We have to stay between the flags, stay off the grass, and also avoid random obstacles. This race is incredibly unforgiving, and even hitting a pixel of debris will send me flying off my skateboard. After a couple attempts at this, I knew this one was going to be a struggle and decided to see what else the game has to offer. Next up is the High Jump. This one sucks. In order to get this one to work, you have to mash left or right on the D-pad and press B as fast as you can. Then, when you're about to jump, you press A to lift off. Just check out this sick air I'm getting. Yes, this is a great time to point out that each individual event has its own set of controls, with most of them having no common control scheme. Jumping into different events with new controls is as annoying as you can imagine. After a bit of practice, I finally start getting some respectable air, and I'm happy because this one is a pain on my hands to keep up. Finally, I'm off to the Jam. This event is a one-on-one race through some alleyways. Avoid the obstacles, watch out for your opponent trying to kick you off your board. I can kick back, but I found it just easier to avoid the kicks. This event has some of the most ridiculous rubber banding I have ever seen in a game. Your opponent is slow and nearly waits for you when you are behind them. And then, if they make a mistake, you see them teleport 20 feet down the track. just to catch up to you, right there with you again. This fool is getting around with a portal gun in his pocket. Is that a portal gun in your pocket, or are you just glad to see me? Well, with that, this event seems pretty easy, so long as I can have a clean race. Let's get into the graphics. It's nothing fancy, and with a few events that have static backgrounds with little to no movement, I think they could have pulled off something a little bit nicer. However, everything here is serviceable at the very least. The music and the audio is very good here, and the title tracks really gets you ready to jump on your skateboard and start pulling off some sick tricks. When you're on the shop, you have a nice little mid-tempo tune that says, "Hey man, we're in no rush here. We're just here to have a good time." Each event has its own music, and that's not bad considering each track is really catchy, and I feel like good music is a must with every skateboarding game, and that's where this game stands out. Let's talk about the gameplay though. I went into this game really excited, but the gameplay is a huge hurdle. Each event has different controls, and the structure of the game is event-based high scores and races against the clock or the CPU. So with that in mind, how do I beat this game then? Well, I had to look a few things up, and it seems like it is just get high scores in every event, and capping it off by beating Lester in the joust seems to be the way to go. So, enough practice. Let's get to the competition. My competition playthrough starts with the freestyle. I just need to get the highest score I can here. This one's probably the hardest event for me, and after several fails in this event, I ended with a score of 1603. Moving on to the high jump now, this one is probably the most stressful on my hands, and I'm only just hoping for a good jump and to move on. After one attempt, my dude leaves the half pipe only to end up with 5'10". I have no idea why he leaves the half pipe sometimes. The manual does not have any information on this. 2 events down, and I'm off to a terrible start. Alright, let's smash this downhill event. Instant faceplant. Excellent. So clearly, I'm not going to win in this run. Let's keep pushing through though. Let's jam. Okay, so this one I feel really confident I can win in one shot. After getting sucked into the sewer, our opponent follows us right into the sewer. I guess we're just doing some turtle sightseeing. We both smash into a wall, and now the race is just to see who can fail less than the other person. Well, I run into a fence and the other guy slows down so much due to the rubber banding, I'm able to sprint to the finish line and take the win. Hey, any way I can get it at this point. So it's off to the joust, and after this loss to Pete, it's time to get back to the competition and try to continue to improve. This was a dreadful start. Freestyle this time is a huge improvement, and I finished with 4,750 points. The next shot at the high jump has me finishing with 7 feet, so I'm seeing some great improvements this time. The downhill jam sees me finishing with a score of 3,325. The jam is my jam. I clean the floor with Lester. Watching him stack it repeatedly is quite enjoyable. I finish up with a high score of 7,786. In the joust, well, I keep losing to Pete, and it seems I'm struggling pretty bad here. I keep competing, and I do finally get respectable high scores in each event. In the freestyle, I end up with a high score of 8,755. In the high jump, I end up with a final high score of 7 feet and 11 inches, and I am stoked with that. In the downhill jam, I end up with a final high score of 5,417. In the jam, I end up with a final high score of 8,298. In the joust, I take out Lester on my first try against him, so I am over the moon there. Here are all my high scores on the screen, and with that, Skate or Die has been finished. In the end, I'm really happy with all of these high scores. I had to do a little bit of practice and repeat and just get really good at some of these. Now, don't get me wrong, there's people who probably have smashed through these scores, but I am really happy with the time I've put in. So with Skate or Die done, let's talk about the pros and the cons. Starting with the cons, let's always start with the bad first. Ending on a high is the way to go. The different controls for each event is a killer here, and it makes wanting to learn the game incredibly frustrating for someone who's just picking it up. Another one of the cons is there's not a lot of content here. It's just high scores and faster times. As far as events, my biggest event con would be the high jump. it is a strain on your hand to continually do several high jump runs over and over. Trying to get some practice in had my hands struggling. The other event that was a con for me was the freestyle. Doing the spins in the freestyle was incredibly hard to figure out to land. In fact, I really didn't figure it out at all. To this day, I don't know if I did a single spin trick in the freestyle. My high scores were just spamming whatever trick I could that wasn't a spin. But hey, let's get into the pros. The music is really good and is my favorite part of the game. Lots of different tracks and not a single one of them was a letdown. And finally, with our last pro, the game's done. It's over. Skate or Die has been completed. Yeah. Now, if I had to give this a score, I'd give it a 4. Skate or Die is really a product of its time and unfortunately hasn't aged that well. I was hoping for more depth here and the controls could have been better and it would have scored a little higher. As far as difficulty, I'm going to give this a 2. It's actually not a difficult game and the only difficult part is beating Lester in the joust. Everything else is just get whatever high score you feel like and you're done with the game. So 2 feels pretty accurate here. Now, would I recommend this game to anybody? I mean, not really, unless you wanted to just mess around with it for 15 or 20 minutes. I mean, I'd be surprised if you even get 15 minutes into this game once you see how janky the controls are. It's just so hard to recommend a game like this when there's other fantastic skateboarding games that are damn near perfected. Games like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and I hear the Skate series, it's another one I need to check out, but I hear people love that one as well. Yeah, Skate or Die, I can't recommend it. Now with Skate or Die done, we do a random draw to see what game we play next. Coming up next is Super Mario Bros. 2. So if you like the video, hit the like button. You can comment. Maybe you played Skate or Die back in the day. Maybe you loved it. Give me a follow if you enjoy the content. I've got plenty more coming. I've got a lot of stuff planned. I'm trying to get back into streaming all these games again as well and just keep things going. But I really appreciate you guys' support. And with that, I am out.